This broke last night, earlier today. I think it was last night. Federal prosecutors Jack Smith's organization that is investigating the Orange Vomit's handling of classified material. They now have their hands on a recording. Apparently Trump had somebody follow him around recording shit, but a recording of Trump from 2021 after he was booted out of office discussing sensitive military documents that he kept after leaving the White House. And this is reported by the New York Times. It's according to two people who know what the hell happened. In the recording, the Orange Nazi suggests he knows the document is secret and not declassified, and he's bragging about it. Now, let me digress just a second from the Times article. Remember a couple of days ago when the story, it surfaced, and it caught my attention only briefly, that Trump had some documents that would have been incredibly interesting to the Saudis. And the documents pertained to Iran's nuclear program, Iran's, Saudi Arabia, which is a branch of Muslim, not the Shia, but what's the other one? Damn it. Iran is the Shia branch of Islam, which is the more, to use a very loose phrase, the more common person form of Islam, Shia. The Sunni, that's right. The Sunni Muslims, which is the Saudi royal family, they are more of the upper class, you might say. They consider, and I know these definitions are bullshit that I'm giving right now, but I'm just trying to differentiate between the two branches of Islam, Shia and Sunni. And they don't like each other. And Saudi Arabia especially does not like Iran. And Saudi Arabia, of course, is an ally now in a number of ways with Israel. And Israel doesn't like Iran. And I mean, I don't like any country that develops nuclear weapons, but I would have to include Israel in that, along with the United States, along with all the nuclear armed nations, but I digress. So I will go out on a limb here and say that the documents pertaining to Iran that Trump stole, he was going to use those documents to either sell to the Saudis or as a bargaining tool for something, a bargaining chip for something. Trump is at bottom evil because he is totally amoral. When you have someone who is amoral, then into that vacuum steps evil, and that's Trump. Now, back to what the Times is reporting, the existence of this recording where Trump is bragging about it in Trump's inimitable way, is going to undermine and completely demolish the lying bastard's repeated claim that he had already declassified material that remained in his possession before he left office. You know, he thought you're now declassified, and that was supposed to do it. And you know what the prosecutors, what Jack Smith's organization from the Justice Department is doing? They're looking at whether Trump obstructed efforts by federal officials to retrieve documents that he stole after he left office. Well, of course he did. I mean, come on. I realize, look, I know that certain language has to be used. You can't just jump out from the bushes and make an accusation the way I do on this podcast. But come on. I think you would probably come to the same conclusion when it was discovered that Trump had documents pertaining to Iran. What the hell does he care about Iran? He couldn't find Iran on a map. But there are people who want that information. There are nations, heads of nations, who want that information. Ooh, well, Orange Nazi, you stole the right stuff, right? Now, the recording apparently was made, according to the New York Times, was made during a meeting Trump held in July of 2021 with people helping his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, write a memoir of his 10 months in the White House. The meeting was held at Trump's club at Bedminster, New Jersey. And until now, the focus of this investigation, the documents investigation, has been largely on material that Trump kept with him at Mar-a-Lago. But all of a sudden, we have a whole new chapter, or I should say, Jack Smith has a whole new chapter of Trump's criminality to investigate. And that is his little toy club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Now, Mark Meadows wasn't at that meeting, but two of Trump's aides were, and one was this person, Margot Martin, who was given the job by Trump of taping interviews he gave for books being written about him that year. And Mark Meadows was going to quote Trump. So Trump was blabbing the way this ignorant 5-year-old blabs. When somebody asks him a question, he'll just go on and on and on, which is an absolute goldmine of indictable information to prosecutors when the time comes to indict this son of a bitch. But on the recording, Trump began railing about his handpicked chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Mark Milley, who was described in media accounts at the time as having guarded against Trump striking Iran in the final days of his presidency. Who knew? Now, I mentioned right as we ended the program today on the recording, Trump was, when this recording was made, he was shooting his mouth off about Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, who was described Milley was described in media accounts at the time as having stopped the Orange Nazi from striking Iran, actually ordering a military strike on Iran during the final days of his presidency. That's according to people who know what this tape says and what Milley said back in when he was still in contact with the Orange Vomit. Now, in this recording, Trump then begins referencing a document that he said he had with him. And he said that it had been compiled by General Milley and was related to attacking Iran. Trump says this. That's according to people briefed on the matter. Now, among other comments, according to the New York Times, Trump mentions his classification abilities during the discussion, and Trump can be heard handling paper on the tape, though it's not clear whether the paper rattling that you hear on this tape was the document in question. Now, the Justice Department got its hands on this tape in recent months, this recording, and it has become, obviously, a key piece in a mountain of evidence that prosecutors have put together under special counsel Jack Smith, since Smith was appointed back in November to handle this investigation of this filthy son of a bitch, this traitorous scum, Donald Trump. And Miss Margot Martin, the one who was given the task of recording Trump when he was being interviewed for a book, Miss Martin was asked about the recording during a grand jury appearance, I guess within the past several weeks, according to two people briefed on the matter, which is the way the New York Times has to put it. And last night, was it last night? Yeah, I think it was last night. It was Wednesday night, or was it Tuesday night? On CNN, a lawyer representing Trump in this case indicated that Trump was taking the position that he had declassified the material he took with him when he left office. Shit. This attorney, is one of the few that continue to represent this orange Nazi. His name is James Trusty. Trusty. This is what Trusty said, quote, when he left the White House for Mar-a-Lago with boxes of documents that other people packed for him that he brought with him, he was still the commander-in-chief. There's no doubt that he has the constitutional authority as commander-in-chief to declassify, end quote. Yeah, well, water's wet. The wind blows. The sun sets. The sun also rises. What the hell's your point, Mr. Trusty? Trustee said officials could prove that Trump had declassified the material, but when Trustee was pressed on whether Trump had declassified the document in question about Iran, Trustee refused to say on CNN because Trustee does not want to get involved in what other attorneys for Trump have been involved in, which is criminal activity. One set of documents found by the FBI during that infamous search, infamous by the right-wingers, didn't they piss their pants about that? Oh, they invaded his home! One set of documents found during that search had the highest level of classification, which is top secret / sensitive compartmented information. And of course, Trump has long said he could automatically declassify materials with his mind. Jesus Christ. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.